Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Rec and Rule. Today, I'm going to continue our community building series with our focus in today's episode going to be about how you can continue to grow your community as we're moving forward towards the Wave 2 release date. So my very first recommendation is that you want to keep doing everything that we talked about back in 101 and 201. So if you've never watched those episodes, go back and check them out. If you have, it doesn't hurt to go back to rewatch them for the relevant, pieces of info. And the two main focuses that you want to keep in mind are recruiting new players and then keeping the players that you already have. Keeping them engaged, keeping them coming out. So you have to kind of keep fighting that battle because over time you'll have players in your community where their work schedule changes. They can't come to play on a certain night or, sometimes they move away. So you have to kind of try to keep on refilling them as those people leave for one reason or for another. You also do want to make sure that your current players, that you keep them engaged, you keep them interested. Switch things up every now and then, change formats. Encourage people to play things that are not, considered to be the top tier decks. Have them try something new out. Give them a challenge. Have them build towards a certain goal in their team, in their deck. Step 2 is you want to make sure that your store is aware of Wave 2 coming out. Depending on how much they pay attention to games other than Magic, they may or may not even know that Wave 2 is coming out on March 1st. Tell them about it. Tell them the release date. The sooner that they know, the sooner you can start to plan for some of the things that we're going to talk about in steps 3 and 4. Step 3 is to see if your store is able to take pre-orders. They should be. The idea is you want to give the store your money. The store should want to take your money. So they should be able to take a pre-order for Wave 2. The idea is you want to pay for it at the store. So you want, first of all, your store to know that people want to play. You want them to know that they should have a certain level of stock available for release date weekend. I think also it's good for WotC to see that there is support for the game at a store level. So if possible, I highly recommend that you pre-order at your store. Hopefully they'll offer you guys a discount for buying a whole box. If not, if they don't initially say that, maybe float that idea to them. But again, float that idea privately, one-on-one. It kind of depends on your store, depends on their finances. So that's not something that you throw up there as a public Facebook post or something like that. Step 4 is that you want to talk to your store about having an event during release weekend. Ideally, you'd have it on that Friday, similar to how Magic, when they have a pre-release event for a new set, midnight on Friday, they have a whole big, celebration, a party, and all that type of stuff. So I'm going to recommend, if at all possible, have it on that Friday. People will be hyped up. They'll be excited. They'll want to get their boxes, open them up, start to build decks, start to try things out. But if you can't do one that Friday, then definitely do one at some point that weekend. If you have the player base to sustain it, if you can even do more than one event, go for that. But you want to talk to your store about that now. This way they can start to plan the logistics behind that. They can make sure that they have product in stock. They can make sure that they have time and space set aside for you to play it in. So do that now. Don't wait for next week. Don't wait for the week after. Talk to your store about it. See what they can do for you. Be willing to be the one who's going to organize that. Obviously with the store's help, but be willing to be in charge of that if nobody else is. Step 5 is to get your community pumped up about the new set coming out. I'm really lucky in that our local community, we've had steady turnout since the release of the game. We have players who are dedicated. They're hyped up about it. But, when a new spoiler gets released, whether by WotC or by a website, content creator, whoever it might be, share that with your community. Let people talk about it. Let them see it. Get them hyped up. You could also run special kind of like, proxy events where you get tons of those white index cards. Encourage them to hand draw one of the new characters on there. Let them use that in a weekly event just to try things out and see how it works with the current set of cards that are available. Step 6 is you want to re-engage players who may have drifted away from the game. We've talked about this before in other episodes. There's kind of like this subset of players for non-Magic card games where they are constantly chasing that next big card game that's not Magic. So they went from Destiny to L5R, back to Destiny, to Warhammer Champions, to Transformers, to Keyforge. They've drifted towards Keyforge. Keyforge has been out for a while. We've seen all the cards available. They've bought 20 decks for it. They might be tiring of Keyforge. Engage with them. Kind of say, hey, look, did you guys see that they're doing combiners in set 2? This is crazy. Get them hyped up for it. Let them see it. Show them how Predaking works. Send them the article. Show them the Dinobot information. It's a really cool gimmick. It's a really cool theme for set 2. So see if you can pull them back in. Step 7 is it's good to have other people helping you. And this is something that is relatively new to me. Again, I organized X-Wing in my local area, and although we had a lot of players who stepped up at each different store to help to organize X-Wing at that store, I didn't really have many people willing to help me to promote the game or get new players into it. I'm sort of surprised, and in a good way, at how my local scene is really kind of just, they're doing it automatically without even having to have somebody ask them to help out. This isn't a surprise to me for, Joe. Joe was running Destiny for us locally, and was big in promoting it and hyping it up to people and actually running events for people. Joe has by far been doing the same thing for Transformers. So it's kind of neat that, I do a lot of the online promotion. I try to get people to come out, and then a lot of times it's Joe that is kind of there doing the logistics for the actual event, which is really helpful. I have to also throw some love to Kyle, one of our other local guys. Joe had to work an overnight. I had to get caught up on some other work, so I couldn't make it out. We were going to cancel, but Kyle wanted to keep playing. Had some people show up, and Kyle took charge, and he kind of ran a turbo event, and it went really well. So props to Kyle for doing that. And you'll have players that will do stuff like that. Our other local guys, RJ, obviously Frenchie's always there cheerleading us all the time as well. But, Adam, another local guy, a new player comes out and we just kind of throw extra common cards at them, extra uncommon cards at them. We make sure that when somebody new comes out that they have a complete set of common and uncommon characters. This way, they're not just using the Autobot starter to try to play games with. So it's helpful to have a community of people who are there to help you out as well. Step 8 is, you might now start to have other stores that start to pick up the game as well. You want to make sure that that those stores are not running events on the same day, if at all possible, because you don't want to split or kind of pull the community thin. So you want to try to make it so that, if you're doing a weeknight event, if one store does it on Wednesday, like my store does, another store does it on a Tuesday. If you have weekend events, you want to try whenever possible not to schedule it on the same weekend. But if it does have to be the same weekend, don't do it on the same day of the weekend. Do one Friday at one store, do Saturday at a different store. So it's helpful to have stores that are willing to work with each other, which is also why it is a really good idea to have a player at that store being the one who's kind of in charge of running Transformers at that store. Obviously, you have to follow whatever guidelines the store will set out. They're giving you space to play. But again, it definitely helps to have a player in charge of that because they can coordinate with other players. Step 9, remind your players to support your local stores. So encourage them to, when they're buying boxes, rather than buy online and maybe get a deal where it's, $10 cheaper, whatever it might be, encourage them to instead buy at a store. Also, remind players that they don't necessarily have to have a complete set in the opening weekend. Encourage them to come out to events, have those events use packs as prize support. This way it encourages people to keep on coming out to chase those cards that they don't have, or to meet up with other people to trade for cards that they don't have yet. Step 10, you want to build a sense of community. And I think that this is an area in my region here where we're doing really well with this. We're kind of lucky in that we have a number of different content creators all close by, so we're all really pumped up about the game. But we also have just people who play the game who are pumped up about the game. We do a weekly Wednesday event, and when we go there, people show up about hour and a half early. They're trying some new decks out, trying some wacky ideas out. We're tossing messages back and forth about new spoilers when they hit. And really, although obviously the purpose is to be there to play Transformers, it's also kind of cool just to hang out with everybody. Like it's not just people that you play games with, but you're also happy to hang out with them for 2-3 hours at a time on a weeknight. So you want that sense of community is kind of what you want to build toward. Step 11, I mentioned this a little bit before, but encourage your players to trade with each other. I know everybody wants to complete that set. However, with the combiner theme going on, people will be trying to complete a combiner. You're going to end up with, I'm looking at Volcanicus right now. You will end up with duplicate swoops or duplicate snarls or whatever. Chances are there's somebody in your local crew who is looking for that swoop, and they can trade you that slag that you don't have yet. So I know that temptation might be to buy singles online, or it might be to sell your extras online. Before you do that, reach out to your local community, see if they are interested. If you don't already have this was something back from 101. Make a Facebook group for your local community. This way you can engage with them and kind of keep people hyped up. So that was Community Building 301. I'm pumped up for Rise of the Combiners. I know that you guys are. If you are not already part of our Facebook page, please follow us on there. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have some cool new stuff coming up for you. We are pumped up to start playing Rise of the Combiners, start playing some games and seeing how it works out with you guys. Of course, we'll let you guys see that as well. And yeah, I mean, we're pumped up. I am happy to help you guys in any type of way. I know that Joe and Frenchie are as well. So if you have questions about what to do to promote your community, toss us a message. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and goodbye.